Pretty cool.
You want to go inside?
Yep. Just don't touch anything. Good morning. We are headed up the West Fork. I'm not by myself today. And we're gonna go look and check some stuff out that I've been wanting to look for a while. We just left Woody's Corral and it's kind of a fiasco right now. There's a bunch of glampers going on with horses. Looks like a barrel race is going on at Woody's Corral right now. So, took us a minute to get out of there, but we're headed up the trail. Oh, hold on. Kick him, Holt. Kick him, Holt. Kick him, Holt. Turn him. There you go. Just up from the cliff dwellings is, they call it Grudging's Cabin. There used to be a cabin down here. And almost everybody knows the story of the Grudgings, Woods, battle, getting killed, that kind of stuff. But there's two graves here. And the second grave is James Huffman. And he was a homesteader. He had a place down at the Heart Bar, and he was a bully. So I guess he just wasn't a nice guy. There was another homesteader down here, and his name was Jordan Rodgers. And they both ran cattle up by Pryor. But it got so bad, James was bullying him so much that he wouldn't even go check his cows. So there's another guy that came in. His name was Buck Powell, which was his fake name. His real name was Murray, and he was running from the law in Texas. And somehow he got tied up with Rodgers, and they ended up shooting Huffman. But the thing is, when Buck Powell shot him, the other guy, Rodgers, he thought he was dead, and he walked up to him and emptied his gun into him while he was on the ground. Turns out he wasn't dead until he got shot a bunch more times. And later on, Rodgers was arrested, but then he was let go because this guy was such a bully, and he was afraid to even go check his cows because they were running him in the same place. So there's the story of the second grave that's not marked. The Grudgings one is a better story in my opinion, but everybody knows that one. Most people don't know this other one. We're just gonna head up the river a little bit more. Okay, let's go get on your horse. You're like a ninja.
Is there any more streams going on?
Oh, double E. You guys want to hear the story?
Yeah.
So there's a guy, his name's Clinton Phillips, which, Dad, you know Clinton pretty well. So his grandpa, his name was Jew Upton. You listening? So Jew, he was working cows up here. They had a ranch. And they had a set of corrals somewhere in here, up against the bluffs. And a mountain lion came, and he went to chase the mountain lion off. And he ran up this hill, up the zigzag trail, and he shot at it and missed. And he went off running after it, and he tripped on something he thought was a can. And then he realized that it couldn't be a can because there's never been any like homestead or anything there. So he went back and looked, and it was a bell. There was 2 Spanish bells there, and the date on them was 1727. And he couldn't carry, he was a teenager at the time, and he couldn't carry both of them back. And so he left one of them. And he went back later and he couldn't find it. And then other people have looked for it and they couldn't find it either. So guess what we're gonna do?
Try to find it.
We're gonna go try to find it. So that's why we're camped right here, just because, and we're not very far in. Sound like a good plan? Okay.
Yeah, but where will we find the bells? I don't know.
Well, there's only one left, or there might be 2. And we're just gonna have to go look for them.
If there is 2, I doubt it would still be here.
You don't think it's here anymore?
If that's great of a find, you could probably be like, I don't know. So where's this man?
Where's the what? The trail? Oh, the ranch isn't there anymore. Oh, the corrals where they kept the cows? So his ranch was actually down in Membris. But this is where they would bring their cows in the summertime. This could be the closest I've ever camped to the truck, but here's a zigzag trail. I'm about 3-4 miles from the trailhead. The story goes that Jew Upton they had a set of holding pens down here, right by the zigzag trail, up against bluffs. So before I go up here and look for this, that we're gonna just come down here and we're going to try to find some corrals and kind of see where the starting point was. Do you think this would be a good spot for a corral?
Yeah.
Think a cow could get out of this? We're not finding any old wire or anything.
Dad, wait! They could have used this for the corral.
I think that one got washed down in a flood.
They'll make it down without getting the boo-boo. I'll be impressed.
I left the kids and my dad down there playing in the river doing kid stuff. I decided to come up here on the zigzag trail a little ways, try to figure it out. But the best way for me to describe the story to you is to let Clinton tell the story. So as I'm walking up here, I'll let you listen to Clinton's version of it.
My name is Clinton Phillips. I lived on the lower members on a ranch that belonged to the Yates. And the family was my step-grandparents, which is Upton, Lois and Jew Upton. Now, some of this story is told to me in Spanish, so it's a little different. My stepdad and my granddad used Spanish almost exclusively. Lois Yates never spoke any Spanish. So she would try to get in on the story too, but of course, so they'd cross-reference it a little bit, one language to the other. But they were gathering cattle in the fall of the year, because you try to get them out of that cold, higher altitude. So they had the cattle gathered there, kind of a bluff there at one end of the corral, and this lion kept screaming and hollering like they do if you've ever been around them. And so he finally went up to keep the cattle settled down. He went up the trail, zigzag trail, to the top of it, and there's a plain kind of up on top. And he spotted the lion, shot at him, and ran after him. And on the way in the run, it was at nighttime, he stumped his toe on a can, he thought at the time. But then later, on his way back, he realized there was no cans up there because nobody had ever lived up there. And so he got to looking around, and he found these two bells. Being a little older, he carried the bells down to the top of the zigzag trail, and he hid one. Really, on my mind, it was kind of to the south of the trail a little bit. And he brought the other one down, and they put it in the dimming bank. Consequently, though, it burnt down. And it had 3 knobs on top of it, and 13 ounces of gold, pure gold, ran out of those knobs. I myself went there twice and kind of looked around the top of the trail and what have you. And that's where they worked.
He left one, Clinton.
Yeah, he left one because it was too heavy for him. He was up in age a little bit. And that was about the size of it. And I took the bell. My family had 2 bars in Arizona, a place called Wilcox, Kansas settlement, between Wilcox and Douglas. And I had the bell in one of the bars. And somebody stole it. And the only clientele I really had there was Mexican workers from Mexico. And so it had to have been one of those farm workers. And that was the end of the bell there.
After digging into it a little bit, we figured out, or we guess, that Jew was actually a teenager whenever he found it. And he had the cows down here, and he heard the lion up here on the zigzag trail, and he went after it. He shot at it once, and then we missed, and he kept chasing after it, and that's when he found the bell. From what I could tell, most people that are looking for it are up there on top. But if you're a teenager chasing a mountain lion in the dark, I'm guessing that you wouldn't make it all the way to the top before you would give up. And he was on foot. So I'm gonna look around these headers right here on these flat spots, because it'd make sense for him to have been chasing the line across here rather than up there, or even this way is so bluffy, I don't even think you can make it. But Clinton thinks that it's over here, which makes sense why I'm going to look over here. Whoa, Mearns quail get you every time. Whew. Thought I almost had a heart attack there for a second. What kind of bird dog are you? You're supposed to warn me. To my knowledge, the family to Jew Upton are the only ones who really know this story. But there's kind of, most of the story is the same from what I've read or heard or talked to people. But there's one little difference, and that is, one version is he left the bell, the second bell, because he couldn't carry both of them back. Another version is he hung it in a tree. And then the third version is he hid it so that way he could come back later and get it. If you were a teenager chasing a lion in the dark, would you cross this? Is it over there? Was Mr. Upton that ambitious? I don't see a teenager chasing a lion that far in the dark after you shot at it with a 30-30 or something. I've been looking for a while. I'm gonna keep looking probably for most of the day. But there are a couple things that we do know. We know that there was a bell found and it had the date 1727 on it. That bell was in good shape with gold. It was put into a bank in Deming and then it was in a fire. So the bank caught on fire and I could not find when that bank fire was. There was a big fire in 1918, but that was the Cody Camp fire. A theater caught on fire and like jumped from building to building. So it could have been there. There was another fire in 1909, and then there was another one in 1920. But I don't know if the bank was involved. Those are just big fires in its day, like historical fires. So it was in a fire, all the gold melted out of it. After that, it was taken and it was put into a bar that the family owned. So there's family that were from California. There was family here. Somehow it went to Bakersfield, California, and it was photographed in 1964. That's the picture that we have. And then it was put into the bar around Wilcox. And it was a bar set up for migrant workers. And it was stolen out of that bar. So that's what we do know. We don't know how many bells there were originally. We don't know where it was found. We just know that there was a bell for sure. It was found in this area somewhere. That's it. Keep looking. You're making a lot of noise, dog. So I'm up here glassing and trying to, not have to walk and grid the whole thing, which the likelihood of me finding it like that's pretty slim to none. But I have a bunch of questions. First one is why? Why are there Spanish mission bells here? And I have some theories, but I'm not like an investigative reporter. I'm just a guy who likes stories, and then I go wander around to put boots on the ground in that spot. So my theory is, I know that they were smelting bells for missions in around 1800. So this one was 1727. But they might have been smelting them there before. It's just, I haven't heard that. So let's say that they were smelting it in Santa Rita, which is just a big hole in the ground now, and they were going to a mission up north Most of the missions were along the Rio Grande and up to Santa Fe area because it's easy to get to. But let's say they're going to like Zuni or Acoma or something that was further east, and they just wanted to make a shortcut, cutting across here. Zigzag trail makes sense on that they would come up because this is about the only ridge you can get up on this side. Well, except for way up higher. And did they get attacked? Did they get in a fight? Did they have a big mule or donkey wreck and lost them? But that's the only way I can figure that they ended up here. The other thing is, were there only two? Because after reading about it a little bit, a lot of church bells, they do 3 church bells. And so that way they have different sounds, different tunes. So did they all look the same? Were there 2 of them that were different? Were there 3 of them? I have no idea. But it's fun to look around anyways. There's so many of these little benches. And that's, in my mind, I picture him like running up over, like through one of these benches and tripping over something he thought was a can, turned out to be a bell. But I could definitely see how you would get confused and you wouldn't be able to find it again if you stumbled upon it in the dark. And you went back. Eventually working cows and stuff, you'd run into it. But they didn't have Onyx or GPSs, which is a good time to bring up my sponsor, Onyx. Just kidding. I don't have sponsors. But if you want 20% off of Onyx, just pick whatever YouTuber you want, put in their promo code, you'll get 20% off. They sponsor everyone. It's a pretty good company though. I really don't have any idea how to look for it. Metal detector, whistle. Come here, bell. Could be anywhere. Wrong shoes for this. What's your favorite hiking shoe? Not those. I'm pretty sure I'm further away than anybody would be chasing the mountain lion on foot. But there's a saddle right here. So I'm on the same ridge, just kind of on the backside, or maybe like one ridge over from where the zigzag trail is. So zigzag trail is just over here a little ways. And I don't know where the actual trail was in the 1700s. You know, probably on this ridge, but it might have been over here and not over there. But almost every trail goes through a saddle. So I'll at least come up to the saddle, loop around, maybe drop off on the other side. But that bell could be anywhere. Could be buried. Could be in a tree, but probably not. Could be under a dead tree that it was hanging in. I wandered around all over the place. On the other side, cut back over to this side. So I'm on the, I guess it'd be kind of the southish side of the trail now, down here in the canyon. But something we need to keep this in mind if you come looking for it. So a young man, probably teenager, found it, couldn't find it. Then he told his kind of adopted grandson, so he was older when he was telling Clinton the story, and it was told in Spanish. So Clinton didn't even know English until he was older. Then, now Clinton's older, and he's recalling the story again. So it was like kids hearing the story, old men telling the story. So there's a chance that we're not even on the right ridge. Maybe he meant to say across from the zigzag trail, like on that side of the river. Or I have no idea. Like there's language translations that could have been mixed up. There's, young kids misinterpreting it. There's old men not remembering it exactly how it was. So take it for what it's worth. It's still pretty cool country. So I'd say come look for it. What do you have to lose? Not finding it? It's no big deal. What do you think? Did you give up? I'm gonna just keep looking. I went up, I cut off the trail and I made a big loop around here, went up over here, way up over here, like kind of zigzagging all the way up. And then I came this way, zigzagged. I've been at it for a few hours. Don't fall off there, dog. But the most logical place for me to think that it was on that flat right there. Just somewhere right here. But I'm sure people would have found it if it was just down there. Because why would somebody chase a mountain lion all the way up here? Just a thought. I'm gonna head back down. I'm sure my dad's tired of my kids by now. Do you see this?
Yeah.
Is that pretty cool?
Yeah.
You see more pottery?
No.
What do you think Pottery's doing here? No bell, but pottery.
Cool one.
Is it a front pocket? What'd you get? Front pocket find?
Here's one of them. They're all the same.
Let's see. Some cool rocks.
Yep.
Okay.
White. Super cool.
Somewhere in through here is where that trail was. It's been flooded out who knows how many times. We rode up here just above where we had camped to come check out this. This is right on the trail. Every backpacker stops here. I've never stopped. We just look at it right through, so we're going to check it out.
Oh yeah, that is. Yeah, why did it remember?
Pretty cool.
You want to go inside?
Yep. Just don't touch anything.
Don't worry. We should go read it. There's another one just over in that big cave.
Yeah.
They had neighbors. Hey, they're scratching.
Yeah, people are graffitiing. They do that a lot. Is it worth riding for 10 extra minutes? It's pretty cool. Could you imagine living here?
use
And the
that.
door opening was probably about this big. Over here somewhere.
Then it got started to crumble.
Flaked off, crumbled.
Oh, looks like they put.
We're headed out, and we weren't able to find the bell, but we looked high and low. We looked last night and this morning, but there's rumors that a firefighter found it while they were working a fire right there, which there is sign of old fire, but there wasn't any big fires. So it might have just been a couple acres and they were putting it out. So the rumor is firefighter found the second bell and packed it out. So if you've heard of that bell, or maybe your uncle or somebody has it in their basement, you should let me know. I'm pretty curious just to see if it was found or not. But we're not too far from the truck. Thanks for watching.
That's really about the size of the bell, though. I walked up there twice. It's a pretty good little walk from the cliff dwellings. And at that time, the road was not paved. It was a dirt road, rocky, very difficult. In fact, with a 3/4 ton pickup, you couldn't get out of there if you didn't have a mule or something in it. You had to have traction. And so I'd been up there to work the cattle a couple of 3 times, and half-heartedly looked for the bell, but not very hard. And they stole the bell from the bar at Kansas Settlement. And the bar was not for the American people, it was for the farm workers, which were all Mexican people from Mexico. I don't know whether you would say it was a brass bell, but it wasn't. It was some metal like that, and then it had the gold on the lettering on the side. But it just had 1727 is all I saw on the bell. But it was pretty heavy. I'd say it probably weighed 50 pounds or so, 60. And I could carry it, but it was hard for me to put it up on a shelf. Lift it up, get it on there. And that's about the size of it now.